This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is the COO of ECR Minerals, Mike Whitlow. Hi Mike, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Mark. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Mike. So there's been a bit of news from the company, of course, recently. I just want to catch up on a few of the RNSs that have come out. The first one regarding the hurricane project there. So you've actually dropped this deal. You're not going to follow through on the option. What's the reasoning behind that? Do you not feel that it's got the bang for the buck or the prospectivity that you and the new board and the direction of the company are looking for?
No, we think the ground's quite interesting. You know, we spent quite a lot of time looking at this. It wasn't a decision that we came to lightly. However, you know, a deal 13 months ago, the price of a deal then and the price of a deal now, just market's far more competitive. There are lots of other opportunities. We did like some of what we're seeing up there. It's very prospective. It's very early stage in some regards. We could see that the Conda Paringa asset next door was available, so we immediately went to put in an application for that tenement. And I think that gives us ample exposure to that sort of geology. There's a few sort of things that were being circulated from the shareholder community about, it's advanced and we'll be drilling soon. And I mean, look, that we still needed to go out there and do a couple of $100,000 worth of civil work. And, that alone would have taken quite a lot of time and it would have been a bit of a financial burden on us. And we just hadn't got enough data that correlated with the information that had been provided to us. So unfortunately, Nick and I didn't take that decision lightly, but with Adam and the technical team and the board's assistance, we came to a decision that wasn't best for shareholders. And look, we like Queensland. Lulworth shaping up to be extremely interesting, and we can talk a little bit about that, of course, as well during the interview.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's talk about Lulworth then. Of course, some of the recent news there with the rock chips, that news came out the other day regarding encouraged. The board are very encouraged, I read, by these findings, and the directors believe these gold sources within the rocks could form part of a larger system within the tenement. The area is highly anomalous in gold, added to which the field team have also discovered numerous gold nuggets. Now, from a comment from your technical director, Adam Jones, there saying that there's still further data to collect, but now entering this information and historical data into our area plan so we can start to accurately map out drill targets. So that sounds very nice, doesn't it? So, I mean, could you just shed a bit of light on some of those initial early signs you're seeing there from some of this rock chip samples that are coming in, but also what's this about mapping out drill targets? Because this is, of course, when things start to get exciting, isn't it, for an exploration company?
It really is. It's getting exciting. I mean, Lulworth it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? I mean, not only have we found rare earths and critical metals up there in and around this sort of area in Queensland, we've also been quite fortunate to keep seeing this consistent messaging from the sort of gold results that we're getting from whether it be sedimentary samples, soil samples, whether it be rock chip, and all of that is pointing us in the direction that Lulworth is shaping up to be an exciting asset. And it's our job now to continue to collate the data so the guys are out in the field and they're continuing to work on. So again, there'll be more data continuing to come through, and once we've completed that, we'll go through that sort of period of entering the information into our work plan, and then it's target generation. And of course, once you've generated targets, we start to rank them, talk about the famous D word, which is drilling. But for the time being, I think what we have to do is let the guys continue on with the job that they're doing in the field, and we'll get those results. But no, it's really interesting. It's exciting times, and as I say, we can push out these headlines of 100 and 150, 160, 60 grams a ton. All of these sort of figures are really, really encouraging when they're sporadic. But now we're starting to see these start to regionalize, and we're seeing areas which are looking extremely interesting. So look, let's wait until we get all of that data and compile it all together and do the analysis. But yeah, it's looking like Lulworth is shaping up to be a really exciting asset of ours.
Is it fair to say that that's going to be a lot of the focus for the team at the moment, the Lulworth project? I know you've got some other results due here from some soil grid work, but also talking about sort of target generation as well. Of course, that's going to be quite a bit of work, isn't it? So, I mean, is that fair to say that there's going to be a fair bit of focus and time going into the Lulworth project, and the market can perhaps see some of the results of that analysis, and then eventually the actual drill targets?
No, absolutely. But I mean, look, I think one of the mistakes that's been made today is investors seem to become hypersensitive about certain assets, certain pieces of news, and often they're not. In many cases, they're not full of all of the information that we're privy to, and that's the unfortunate side when you're running public companies, is that there's a sort of communication blackout period, and there's gaps for the investor that they're frantically trying to fill the gap in. And I think historically we've found investors really being hypersensitive and focused on certain areas. Lulworth's shaping up to be a great asset. The results continually look to encourage us immensely in Queensland, but that's not to say that we don't look further north at the license at Condapringa. And indeed, we look sort of to our assets around Victoria and Creswick, and notice that Nick come out and did an interview with Andrew Scott recently, and he said, we've read comments on bulletin boards that sort of suggest now that we're going back to Victoria. This is disrespectful to the work that's happened historically in Victoria. We did a hell of a lot of work there, raised a lot of cash, and there's been a lot of develops in Victoria. And of course, it ground to a bit of a halt, but there's been a lot of work and a lot of cash spent in that ground and on retaining that really, really interesting land package that ECR hold. 2019, when the RC drill was out, everything was flying. Things were, Fosterville South was coming. Everybody was talking about this area. You were falling over yourself for people to give you money to get drilling and keep on getting active in that area. And unfortunately, diamond results were not as rewarding for us as perhaps the RC that we'd gone out there in 2019 with. But that's not something that's unique to us. We're seeing the same type of results for companies like Falcon Metals. So we know that this isn't unique to us. This is the geology of Victoria. And of course, we're interested in it. Our focus is Lulworth. The team are working actively up there for the time being. And we'd like investors to look at the results that we're putting out, because we're highly encouraged by it. But we definitely don't want people to think that we haven't got an interest in the geology up near the Hodgkinson Gold Province, or indeed, what's actually unfolding right now in Victoria. And things are hotting up.
Well, what's hottening up in Victoria? Because I noticed that map you put out the other day about Southern Cross there. I mean, that's quite a significant bit of news they released the other day.
No, absolutely. I mean, they've got assets up at the ReJV, Redcastle, Sunday Creek. The results that they put out recently have been, pretty encouraging. Shares in the company now trading somewhere near the 52-week high. Share price has doubled over the summertime. They've got a market cap of, I think, 70, 80 million bucks. So they've seen a lot of interest around it. And their headline is that they hit 330 meters of mineralization with intersects, 7 intersects between 100 grams a ton and 4,190 grams a ton was the highest intersect. I mean, that's like knock out the park size intersects. It's highly encouraging. People around that Victoria region have been waiting for a story to follow on from Fosterville and Fosterville South, and there's been a big gap. There's been a lot of sort of disappointments along the way, but Southern Cross have put out some absolutely banging news. It continues on from what's been a positive summer campaign for them. And, lo and behold, we're in one of our other neighbours in the same postcode, Falcon Metals, are now talking about going out drilling. And the word on the street is we're going to start seeing Novo going out there too. So now the activity's starting to pick up, and it would be foolish of us, regardless of what people's experiences over the last couple of years may have been, to ignore it. So for us as a board and a team, we're focused on everything. We're working round the clock, 7 days a week, and we're going to do everything we can to get as much exposure to as many of these assets and opportunities as we possibly can.
Okay. Well, it all sounds very good, Mike. The last thing I want to just finish off on is just thinking about what's to come as we head into the end of the year. Of course, it's now very much feeling like winter. We've got only a couple of months left of the year. We've got, of course, the stereotypical Santa rally, as everyone calls it, that may or may not happen when the markets generally do well. But I noticed another piece of news that came out where the directors have actually cancelled their options there that were presumably from the legacy board. That's 54, I think over 54 million shares that would have been issued to directors. So could you give some rationale as to why you've decided to cancel that? Is that due to the fact that you want to be judged on your performance, like you said the last time we spoke? And just give us a bit of an idea, if you can, of what might be to come as we head into the Christmas period.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, I can only give you my opinion. The board made that decision, and I commend the board for making the decision to cancel the options. My opinion is that far too many of these companies that are pretty poorly run are seeing directors repricing options, reissuing new options, and they're doing it on historical lows for these businesses that they're running. I'm not going to name names, but I've looked at 2 or 3 over the last few weeks, and it's sickening. And I've come from the investment community, and I would hope that investors see this as a very clear message. Options may well be awarded, but they'll be awarded when the company is trading on the right trajectory and in the right direction. I think it's absolutely sickening for investors to sit there and watch a company that's traded from 250 pence down to 10 and directors start issuing huge portions of the company to themselves with 5-year options over a 5-year period that pretty much give them a free spin of the wheel when this market turns a corner. The board doesn't intend to go down that track. We think options should be awarded, but they should be awarded when we're trading on the right trajectory and with a solid footing. And that's how options should be utilised, in my opinion. So, great for the board for making the decision and accepting it. That's my personal opinion moving forward. Where do we go towards the end of the year, Mark? If there's a Santa rally, if there's a relief within the market, we'll be a company that's out there working tirelessly hard to deliver as much as we possibly can for investors. I've seen people sit there and curl up, protect major organs, do as little as possible during these times, and when the good times run again, then start coming back at it. We don't want to be the second cab off the rank, the last cab off the rank. We want to be one of the first ones, and people say, you know what, these guys are just relentless in the way that they keep on delivering news and delivering opportunities. And we certainly envisage that it's going to be a bit busy towards the end of the year, and we'll continue to be busy until the market wakes up, sits up, and recognises what it is we're trying to do here at ECR Minerals.
Okay, we'll leave it at that, Mike. Thank you very much. The relentless news delivery until the market recognises what it is, the value that you have there. So thank you very much. I look forward to following that. Thank you very much for your time today, Mike Whitlow, COO of ECR Minerals.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time, Mark. Speak again.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.